Hi, good morning. Today we will talk about an amazing subject for me, video games. I think many of you have an old point of view on that subject, and video games have been changing for years and are transforming our society right now. In the subway, at home, on a console, or on your laptop, more than one French person on two plays video games, and half of them play daily. But where does the video games come from? All begin in USA in a nuclear laboratory. In 1958, William Winkingbottom imagined a kind of tennis game where two players send to each other a ball. The video game is born and is called Tennis for Two. In 1962, some MIT students created a video games on the computer of the school. Some spaceships controlled by players are fighting each other. This was Space War, and it was the first video game on the computer. 10 years later, the video games was democratized thanks to the famous Pong, which was a huge commercial success. The game consists in sending the ball from one side to another, and it's available on arcade terminal in all pubs. In Japan, Tomohiro Yoshikado was inspired by Star Wars and War of the Worlds and created Space Invaders. In 1985, a new constructor appears on the market called Nintendo. His console, Famicom, is a huge success. In Japan, there was a console in every third home. The next year, Nintendo launched the NES, sold with the games Super Mario Bros. It's a huge success, which sold 60 million copies in the world. In 1989, Nintendo created the Game Boy, and it's a revolutionary. It was the less expensive on the market and so small that you can put in your pocket. In 1995, three-dimensional image arrived in our living rooms, and especially with the PlayStation of Sony with Resident Evil or Tomb Raider. After that, there were GameCube, Xbox, Wii, etc. After that, the video games arrived in our daily life with Snake on Nokia 3310. Internet on smartphone, applications, social networks will massively develop the market. Nowadays, all Jains are playing video games and screens have invaded the planet. The video games has not finished evolving. Now just talk about statistics. In 2018, the video games market reached a new record in France with a growth of 15%. The video games market represents 4.9 billion euros in France, and with 4.9 billion euros, it's the largest cultural industry, ahead of the book, film and music industries, which still accounted only 2.5 billion in 2012. Furthermore, 74% of French people play, and 1 out of 2 players is a woman. Now, thanks to all these figures, you can imagine how the video games is developing. Let me show you what the video games are like today.
À l'époque, on faisait un jeu pour 200-300 000 francs, puis 200 ou 300 000, c'est passé à 200 ou 300 000 euros, et puis maintenant, on dépense à peu près entre 70 et 100 millions, et pour le marketing, on est entre 30 et 60 millions aussi.
Video games have made their revolution. More than a hobby for teenagers, they have established themselves as a new mainstream culture. The video games has changed dimension. He left the rooms and all launched to take over the stadiums. Among the big productions which are like blockbuster in the movies industries, there is a game, the most popular game on the planet. It's called League of Legends. This game made the gamers come out of their room to the events. I will present you the World Cup of League of Legends, which took place in Paris this year. Just to understand, there is 32 million players around the planet and 12 million players each day. The finale of the World Cup have been watched by 100 million of persons, and it as much viewer as the finale of the Super Bowl in 2014. Fast, I'm living in slow-mo. I'm a god, but I actually don't know. Maybe better put your pride aside. I'm bands get more like a Volvo. Your best stuff looks like my words. Synapses, fire, and ignorance. Got the whole crew with me. Gotta go down, and average. I ain't gon' say this again, but it's a matter of time. Better look in my eyes. I'm And this is the team which won the World Cup.
Down! And One Plus Phoenix are your world champions!
So let's talk about another event. In 2019, the E3 had 66,000 visitors. The number is limited because it's an average of 50,000 journalists and influencers from around the world who come to inform communities of the news of the market. It's the largest video game show in the world. It's the equivalent of our Cannes Festival in the area. The ads, the show, the presentation have a global reach. Everything is very worked. The presence of great actors has multiplied in recent years. In France, we have a huge video games community, and one of them, a famous YouTuber, organized some big events in France like the Trackmania Cup.
Maintenant peut-être va-t-il revenir? Les transitions tout tentées par Ayako. Mais Bren revient parce qu'il a plus de vitesse. Est-ce que Bren va le faire? Il est qualifié!
En fait, Trackmania a plusieurs choses. Déjà, il peut être compris par tous. C'est une course de voiture, donc c'est vraiment celui qui arrive premier qui a gagné. Et le jeu est quand même très élitiste. La chicane, ça ne sera non plus! Là, il y a près de 8000 personnes dans la salle au Zénith de Strasbourg. Sur Twitch, là, on avoisine les 100 000 personnes.
There are many events like that in France, and I haven't enough time to talk about all of them. Each year, events are bigger. Recently, the same person, called Zerator, organized the Z events. 50 streamers have raised 3.5 million euros with their communities in one weekend for the Institut Pasteur. The video games rise thanks to esports, the competition in video games. Appeared in South Korea, esports quickly became a mass phenomenon. The tournaments attract on the internet tens of millions of fans. Esport is inspired by other professional sports. Players are recruited as teenagers in clubs funded by sponsors. They train 10 hours a day and they clash them during some LAN, some competition to win some cash prize. With esport, the game becomes serious. Just like in the world of football, there is a mercato system with players imported and exported. It's an industry that is developing and organizing. There are hundreds of sports clubs around the world for every famous video games. In the case of the most famous, League of Legends, the biggest club is worth $310 million. The singer Drake invests millions of dollars in the second club named 100 Thieves. Every sports make its transition in esports. The PSG, the Real Madrid, Arsenal, all NBA clubs, and even more. There are many schools which are growing in France. There are about 20 where students train themselves to become a professional player. For example, Tony Parker created his own school in the United States to play basketball in esports. In France, it starts in 2016 and is gradual from year to year. They are trained to become the best. I will show you the biggest event of a famous game that I'm sure that everyone knows. It's Fortnite with the Fortnite World Cup. I will not speak about it, the media will do for me.
The Fortnite World Cup, popular videojuego Fortnite.
Et Fortnite, plus de 250 millions d'adeptes.
Is it, people, the moment that we've been waiting for, because we're about to see the greatest Fortnite players in the world go up against each other in duos competition. And the first ever Fortnite World Champion. Are you hyped? Are you ready?
Kyle Bugha Giersdorf, a 16-year-old from Pennsylvania, won the first ever Fortnite World Cup on Sunday. And get this, he netted $3 million in the process. The victory was a first of its kind.
Your Fortnite World Champion, Bugha!
16-year-old Kyle Giersdorf took home the title and a whopping $3 million grand prize at the first ever Fortnite World Cup. The tournament packed New York's Arthur Ashe Stadium with nearly 10,000 fans, with more than 1 million more watching the intense competition online. Sunday's victory means even more for the fairly new but wildly successful esports industry. Revenues for professional video game competitions is expected to hit $1.1 billion in 2019. That's 27% more than last year.
To conclude this video, and because we are in the communication market, this is a part of all famous brands which did some partnership with video games or famous players. From the League of Legends World Cup box by Louis Vuitton to Visa payment cards decorated by the universe of Pokémon or Angry Birds, there are a lot of brands which did some partnership. For example, Volkswagen, Coca-Cola, Paco Rabanne, Red Bull, Adidas did some partnership. And the French media L'Équipe have now an esports department. And one day, esports will be an Olympic game, you can be sure. So, I hope you like this documentary. And now, if you have questions, it's time.